right, howdy toddy, Rebel fans. This is episode 29 of the Rebel Nation Conversation. I am Umrebelfan69. My co-host is Themetalreb. Together we make up the Rebel Nation Conversation podcast, your one-stop shop for uninformed and non-expert Ole Miss sports conversation.
Unsullied by sponsorship since 2025.
If you can, come on over to our YouTube channel located at youtube.com/at the RN Convo. That's where we host this thing at. And I know a lot of you probably just see the TikToks but that we do of it, but really would like to see y'all come to watch the whole show. So Metal, we ended off on episode 28 there with the Lady Rebels ending basketball season for this year at Ole Miss. Well, we're still playing a little baseball. Let's move on into that. Since we taped on Wednesday, we really don't have no midweek stuff to talk about. But the Rebels started a 3-game set Thursday night due to the television coverage by the SEC network. Rebels took game one, 5-0. Hunter Elliott probably had his best outing in the year. He went 6 1/3. And as he walked off the field, he walked off with a standing ovation.
Good for him.
So he had a really good night. Really didn't. He only walked 2, so he didn't hit any batters. So he didn't. That's the 2 walks was the only free passes given. He didn't allow any runs. Obviously, 4 hits and had 6 strikeouts. So really was a good game. It was one of them kind of. I hate to say it this way, it was almost uncharacteristic of it because he didn't do that getting into trouble thing like he'd been doing, and pitching his way out. So he was able to go a little deeper into the game. He was 1 out into the 7th inning, when he got pulled. But he had walked one of his 2 walks was the first batter in that inning, and he got the 2nd out, and that's when they pulled him and brought in Themetalreb, and Ray pitched another gem, finished the game up. This was the old-time vintage Hunter. That's what we'd hoped we'd have all year.
Yeah, and maybe he's rounding into form just in time for the SEC season,
Yeah. He definitely seems to be getting us.
Well, we need him to be on point with Cade on the men,
Yeah, got a little news on him a little bit. I'll come in later with that, but Rebels kind of got their runs the same way they always do, though. Tristan Bissetta had 2 home runs in the game, a 2-run in the first and a solo in the 5th. Braden Randall hit a triple in the 6th that drove in Austin Foley, and that was the only run that didn't come by a home run. Will Furnace added an insurance run there in the 8th with a solo home run. So, we're kind of feast or famine right now when it comes to hitting the long ball. And that kind of brings us to game 2. I've talked with Dump a good bit of this. This was quite frankly probably one of our better pitching outings this year as well. We really pitched it well. We just let them down, man. We let in the field in the I think it was the 4th inning there. Federico dropped 2 fly balls in his glove. I'm talking about in his glove. Now, one of them, he dove for it, right? So he had it in the glove. It hit the webbing of the glove, and when he landed, it kind of snow-coned. It came up and, it kind of come up into the top of the glove, and you can see he flexed his hands to kind of, as he opened his hand, wanting the ball to drop back into the webbing where he could pinch it better, and it fell out instead of down into the webbing. He wasn't charged an error for that one, but, it being in the webbing, obviously a pro ball player would have been called an error, but in college it wasn't ruled one.
Yeah.
But, he's so fast, and he's really a second baseman by trade. We moved him out there, the outfield, last year. He's not an outfielder, but he's so fast, he gets the balls that I don't know if any other center fielder in the league right now that would have even got to it to put leather on it. You know what I'm saying? It would have just dropped in for a base hit against another one. So it makes it look like
it
may have been a bad play, but
in reality, a hell of a job. Just put himself in position.
Yeah. And he laid his body out there. I mean, he tried to catch it, every bit of it. You kind of felt bad for him in a way, but that was one. But then later in that same inning, he had one that was just literally, he was still on his feet on this one. Right in the glove, popped right out into the bell. And then later on in the same inning, Tristan Bissetta just misread one in the right center gap. Just went over his head. And I mean, he was under it. And it literally just went right over the tip of his glove behind his head and hit the wall behind him. How he missed that ball. And I mean, he turned around and punched the wall. He was so pissed off.
Yeah.
And this guy here was making plays Friday night that he looked like Dale Murphy out there. I mean, Andrew Jones, he was getting the stuff that was just unreal and making them. So it's just uncharacteristic. 3 errors. I don't think they were even charged an error on that one because he didn't touch leather on it either. If you don't touch it, you can't be charged with it.
Yeah.
But it was an error. So these were out balls. These were balls that supposed to have been outs for Hudson Calhoun. Turned out to be runners on base and score runs. And that turned out to be the only inning they scored. They scored 3 runs in that inning off of that crap right there.
Yeah.
And we were only able to scratch for 1 run in the game and lost 3-1. But we actually pitched it really well.
Yeah.
We just didn't hit. Didn't hit.
Well,
yesterday. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it. You know, at least we ain't gonna be going into next weekend at 2-4 in the conference.
Yeah.
I mean that yesterday was huge.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what. Yeah, I know you probably didn't get to watch it because you were working, but man, that was probably one of the most entertaining baseball games I watched in a long time.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, just so back and forth, you know, and I would literally tell you to watch it from the 4th inning on if you just want to, but if you want to get the, sure enough, abridged version of it, watch it from the 7th inning on. You know, in the 4th inning, our bottom half of the 4th inning, Daniel Pasella comes up and hits a grand slam. Puts us up 5-2. But in the very next half inning, the top half of the 5th, UK has a grand slam of their own, plus another 2 runs to take an 8-5 lead. The Rebels scratched for 1 more. Sorry?
I said, wow, what a game, you know?
Yeah. Then in the 6th, Rebels scratched for another, makes it 8-6. They done that off of a solo. He hits a fourth. Bissetta hits the 14th home run of the year. It's a solo shot. Gets 1 runner back. Excuse me. That was in the 7th. 7th. All right. Bissetta comes up, solo home run. That was his 14th of the year. And Colin Reuter hits a 2-run homer to give the Rebels a 9-8 lead going into the 8th. Cats hit a solo homer in the top of the half of the 8th and to tie the game back at 9. Then the most exciting half inning of Rebel baseball I've seen all year long come along. Brayton Randall leads off with a double to the bottom of the 8th, and he advanced to 3rd on a Hayden Federico bunt. Perfectly placed bunt, but it was a pop-up. So he actually, I think Federico thought he was going to be either caught for an out or that it was going to land and roll foul. And he didn't even leave. If he'd have left when he put the bat on the ball, he'd have been safe. But he wasn't. Yeah. But it turned out to still be a sacrifice bunt. Moved Randall to 3rd. Then that brought Umark to the place with 1st and 2nd open. Cats basically said, I ain't giving this guy nothing to hit. They threw 4 pitches at him, but they were all down and away from him, way the hell away from him. They just basically pitched around him, didn't let him have nothing to hit. 4 straight balls put him at runners at the corners. But that brings up Tristan Bissetta. Well, the coach just told him, said, no, just put him on. So in college baseball, you ain't got to throw the 4 straight balls. You can just say, I'm putting you on, and you walk to 1st.
Yeah.
So he went to 1st. That loads the bases up, 1 out. Will Furnace basically takes that as a slap in the damn face. Y'all just walked that batter. You walked the bases loaded to get to me.
Yeah.
He gets up there and line drives that thing in the opposite field. They done put this big shift on. They got 3 players in the right side of the infield, and he drives it to left.
I
opposite
just
field.
watched it on the highlights. Just watched it.
That
That
scores
was
2.
yeah.
So and then and so basically that scores you to Mark and Randall. Becerra now's moved to third. Colin Reuter comes in next and hits this big long fly ball out there to right field. It's an out, but it scores Becerra from third.
Yeah.
So all in all, a 3-run inning. And then Hooks was able to go back in the game and get the final 3 outs. And it was a very 1-2-3 bottom half of the or top half of the night for the Cats. So this is a good team win, man. It's a good series win for the Rebels. That brings us back to 500 in the league. We're 3-3 in the SEC. So,
Yeah. It's a good win, man. Good series win any way you look at it. Kentucky, I believe Alabama last weekend. Is that correct?
they swept Alabama in Lexington.
In Lexington. So yeah.
But Alabama had taken and this makes it even look better, but Alabama had won I don't know what they're doing right now. They won the first 2 games against Florida, Friday and Saturday night. So they're 2-0 this weekend.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes our win over Cats even better, especially if they can,
better.
if the Tide can sweep, if they can end up sweeping Florida, that would be even great. I can't even. Their website is so weird. Alabama, there it is. I was gonna try to see how they're doing right now. But yeah, they've won it. They won it 14-7. So they swept the number 18 Florida Gators in Tuscaloosa.
Wow.
So that and the Cats were ranked 15th. So we got 2 or 3 off the 15th team in the nation.
Yeah.
The team we lost to last weekend, 2 out of 3 to Texas. In their place, they had lost game 1 to Auburn and won game 2 yesterday, but barely won game 2. But Auburn's a good club too. There ain't hardly a bad team in the SEC, man. It's just it's a gauntlet. I know that the other conferences don't like to hear us continue saying, but it does. It just means more. Everything means more in the SEC. When we can pack out a gymnasium for girls gymnastics,
yeah,
and it
and
means
I
more.
don't think even the most rabid SEC hater can't say anything about baseball. I mean, it's
no. Now, I realize that baseball is a regional sport because, I mean, it's hard for a sport that the season starts in February. That's hard for a team in Minnesota, Indiana, and all them. It's real hard for them to be even have practiced much by then.
Yeah.
But, so they just don't put a lot of effort into it. But there's enough good teams in the Southeast or along the southern United States that do care about it. That we're definitely good at it in the conference. There ain't no doubt. But
and
still,
there's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams in the South, like USM, for example, that just have a nice, steady program that consistently win.
Well, something that's like you're speaking up Southern, for instance, it's something they can really be good at because baseball NIL, I think Ole Miss's roster is around the $2 million roster range. Texas is maybe in the $4 million range. Southern can field a decent team. They got the money to be able to field a decent team because it's just not like trying to put a $40 million football roster together.
Yeah.
They can't do that. But if they put all their resources, say, all right, we're going to try to be good at one thing, and that's going to be football or baseball, they could put something together up there really, really nice.
Yeah.
And they've always been very competitive. So next up for the Rebels, they will travel to Memphis to play the Tigers midweek. That game's on Tuesday. Rebels beat them earlier this year at the Oxford matchup between the two by a score of 7-1. So, and then next weekend we got the Egg Bowl coming in. They're hosting the leg humpers for. We got the leg humpers in there for a 3-game conference series. This is the 3 games conference series. Obviously, we still have the Governor's Cup coming up later this year. No, it used to be the Mayor's Trophy. Now it's called the Governor's Cup.
Man, I wish we could somehow win that series. Mike has not done well against them.
No.
To put it kindly.
Mutt swept Vanderbilt a while ago. They won game 2. Well, it's final now. It's final 17-7 over Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, they're going down.
So what do you think about Will Lippert?
Well, Lippert is just, man, I don't know, man. He's got that deal. You seen in the game against Coastal Carolina earlier at that Houston tournament we were in. He was just cruising along so good. And just I mean, like, you just ain't there next inning.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, man. We need him to chew up more innings than 3. He goes out there, pitches 3 dominant, and then comes in and it's just not there in the 4th. So I think he's got it. We just got to figure out how to. Is there a possibility where I see him moving down in the world to a long reliever? That's kind of where he may be, in my mind. Because Calhoun, I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, we lost the game 3-1 Friday in game 2, but Calhoun pitched a great ball game, and Themetalreb coming in behind Hunter Elliott Thursday night pitched a hell of a damn game. Both of those guys are good for 3 to 4 innings apiece. Why not give them the start and roll on Sunday and just see how it happens and move Calhoun move Lippert into the long relief role that we've been using Rabe, or that's kind of
dude. When you can't put but 1 run on the board, I don't care how good you're pitching. It's going to be tough to win.
You know how you always brought it up about basketball, where you said basketball, come down to it, basketball's still a game where the ball's got to go through the hoop.
You got to put the ball in the basket. Yep.
Well, in baseball, you've got to cross home plate at least, a couple times to, because competition's too good. They scored, they scored exactly like we thought they'd score. Just like Chase, when I watched his pre-deal Thursday, how he previewed them, that's exactly pretty much the way it played out. They were that, even though they hit a few home runs this year, that's just ain't their MO. Their MO is somehow find a way to get on the base and be aggravating as hell, just small ball you around the diamond, move the, I say move the baseball. That was a Chase Palm deal, and everybody on the board's been giving him hell. The true terminology is put the ball in play, right? Good things happen if you put the ball in play and move runners over. You move them over, get them in the scoring position, then get a timely base hit to bring them in. And that's exactly what they did. They didn't just waylay you, but they just aggravated you, frustrated you at times, the way they were just boring. And that coach, Mingione, he challenged anything that was close.
Yeah.
He was like he tried to make the game go long. He had his Calhoun, I think, was one of them guys too that he likes to pitch kind of quickly. He likes to toe the rubber and bring it. He was having his batters watch that pitch clock and stay out of the box for like till 10 seconds left on the clock, and then they'd step in. And, just because they knew that Calhoun wanted to work quickly. But, it's like he plays games up there. But that's part of it. You got to be ready for it. But
good win. Good series win, man. We need to get on them dogs next weekend.
That's right. It's like coming into this weekend, Vandy, they were 1-2 in the conference, 17-4 overall, but they've just now gotten their ass swept by the Mutts, and the Mutts obviously lost their first series to Arkansas last week. So
Yeah.
We're two very similar teams, but I feel like just between you and me, man, I don't want to sugarcoat it. They're probably a better hitting ball club than us because we're feast or
Yeah.
famine. We're long ball or nothing.
Yeah.
And so, all right, well, that pretty much wraps up the baseball coverage. Let's move on to our from the board section. I kind of, when you sent me that about what you wanted to bring up on it, I kind of did some quick reading. Let's see, Michael Bratton, he is the host of That SEC podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So tee it up for us. Tell us what you.
Well, I just thought it was worth mentioning because, and really, this don't have anything to do with his meeting with Neil when Neil was in Nashville, but Neil was on his show, and I think he even posted that on 247. And I watched some of it because it was pretty good interview. But a lot of people dial into this guy. He's got a pretty good online platform, and he's taken to calling Pete Golden cheat golding, and I just thought that it was worth bringing up if he, but whatever happened with the linebacker, and I don't want to just keep bringing this up. Seems like we've talked about this subject every episode we've ever put out, but it just won't go away. What else would happen? I do believe some mistakes were made on our side, and apparently from everything I've heard, Pete himself got in the middle of it. And boy, I really hope that's a lesson learned right there. And we can
Well,
avoid that kind of crap in the future, man.
yeah. All right, back on Bratton
I want it
himself.
to die. I want it to go away.
Yeah, I want it to go away too, but I feel like we've talked, like you said, we've talked it to death.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there's going to be some penalties about it, but I don't think it's going to be anything major. We're talking about because they can't come out with a new penalty for it, and then enforce the new penalty for an old infraction. So I feel like right now we're looking at maybe a 1-game suspension, possibly a visit here or there that we can't make. But back on Bratton himself, I'm not real sure. I didn't listen to the actual. I've not listened to his podcast before. I may start listening to it. But it turns out everybody talks about, he pretty much brags on everybody. He's kind of got one of them nickname type deals for every SEC coach out there. I think he's one of the guys even said on the board that he calls Heupel is low T Heupel, and the T, for Tennessee type thing, and low testosterone, obviously the double entendre.
He does do that. He calls Lane Kiffin lame quitting.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, he's got a nickname for everybody. So, I mean, cheap fits it rhymes anyway, but in the grand scheme of things, all right, yes, Pete made a mess up there. But again, I think I posted in that one thread about it. I still consider it to be a distinction without a difference. Even if you add 15 layers between head coach and the person that actually contacts the player, that's still coming from the head coach. I'm sorry, that's a distinction without a difference. It may give you the optics of plausible deniability, but you ain't really. Man, you're the head guy of the school. The buck stops with you.
It does, but man, just like you said, the optics it's just different when it's the head guy himself. It is. It's just different.
But
The
I do
result
feel
may ultimately be the same, but it looks different.
Yep. It looks better if it's the water board coordinator that give the text message and not
Correct.
the head coach.
Yeah.
But still, it's the same in the end. And I feel that Pete's. I feel like Pete's learning from it. And the reason I feel that is you ain't heard a word out of Pete. You know, I feel like he's listening. First off, you know good and well, if someone accused Lane Kiffin of this, he'd be all over Twitter. He'd be all over just being public about it and everything.
Yeah.
Pete's, I think he's listening to people, you know, and saying, all right, yeah, I'll stay back in the back and won't say nothing. We're going to let this
Yeah.
clear up.
Well, he was probably told, keep your mouth shut about this.
Yeah, but that wouldn't have worked with Lane. You could have
No,
told him
no,
all
it
day
wouldn't
long,
work.
keep your mouth shut. It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
At least it's working with Pete, you know. At least Pete wants it to shut up. He wants it to die away. So
I guess
I'm
I'm
gonna have
just
to get.
surprised that it's still kind of.
Yeah. Well, there's just so many people out there want to see a death penalty get thrown out as far. It just ain't gonna happen. We got too many receipts ourselves.
Yeah.
The people we could bring down, if they want to be heavy-handed with us, you know, I don't see it.
I don't either. I don't either. I just ready for it to die.
Yeah, me too. But uh let's see. The other odd thing that I wanted to bring up is kind of from the boards. Did you have an opportunity to listen to that Chase Palm with Keith Carter Q&A that they turned into podcast form when they were both on the stage at the Ole Miss Insurance Symposium?
I haven't. I haven't seen it yet.
I'm gonna tell you, it's. I'm not gonna say here, you know, and just give you verbatim what went down and everything, because I mean it's their podcast. I will tell you this. It's hosted on Spotify, so if you don't have the Spotify app, you'll have to download that, but it's free. You just have to listen to an ad or two in between certain things. But guys, I feel like we got a hell of an AD. I'm telling you, it's well worth the listen to hear how he told the story. I mean, and they talked about the whole ordeal with Lane. We're talking about the 4 to 5 week ordeal leading up to it. You know,
Yeah.
like almost from the time when Florida fired Napier. I mean, they discussed it all the way up till when, you know, they named Pete Golding head coach.
What's
They
the
went
clip
over.
notes of what he had
Well,
to
like I
say?
said, well, I mean, just like they just had a plan in place the whole time. They were dealing with
Yeah.
turnkey. They had already been dealing with turnkey. They had already been talking to a few agents of people so he didn't mention names. But that's kind of where I kind of read it to almost mean that they knew John Summerall wanted the job. They knew Alex Golish wanted the job too,
Yeah.
because they was in contact with other people. But you know, they didn't go into no real reasoning on no final decision making. But I mean, it said it just came down to the fact that, you know, that with Pete already being in the room, knowing what's going on, he was like a no brainer. But I feel like there's more to it. We've talked about it before, but and all in all, though, it's only about 40 minutes long. You know, if you get the opportunity, I highly recommend any of our listeners go on Spotify and look that little podcast up and listen to that Q&A. I'm telling you, man, I get the more he talks and the more I see how he handles some things. You know, the more I'm convinced we got a good AD. I know there's
Yeah.
people on that board that don't agree with that. That golfer, for one, he hates him, man. He downs him every minute, and so does the guy that's with the dog as the avatar. But
Yeah.
you know, they all contend it's all Glenn Boyce. But there was a lot of that in that podcast too, where he talked about how him and Glenn Boyce got along, how they get along as a team.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, man, I was highly impressed with it. So, man, I recommend definitely going and giving it a listen.
Yeah. I'll try to do that because I'm I'm interested in that. So
I was, it's not so much Chase as it was me and you could have been asking me the questions.
yeah,
It's to hear his answers and the way he put them out there, man. I mean, it was, and you get to thinking about it. He's been the AD for 7 years,
yeah,
and he was thrust in the fire day one. I'm talking about had to hire a football coach immediately.
mm-hmm, yep,
You know, then hire a basketball coach, and they kind of touched a little bit too. This is another thing, and I really didn't know there was a lot of this going on. I had read some stuff, but I kind of brushed it aside, I guess. But you know about the shared entertainment district around the vault that they're talking about building there? It's going to use it for concerts and festivals and other kind of stuff.
mm-hmm. I've
That
heard a
sound
little
like
bit about it. I don't know much about it.
they're interviewing firms right now that they got through the, after the RFP was put out there. They've gotten some bids and stuff like that, so they're starting to interview as soon as they find their partner and they get in place. He actually said in this is one detail I will share, that he expects that once they pick a partner for it, they're figuring anywhere between 8 to 12 months to begin the actual construction around the vault. And we're talking about multi-use, big time revenue for the school in a time when revenue's definitely fixing to be needed more than ever.
More than ever. Yep.
Because we got a line item now. It's another thing you brought up. Line item in the ledger, right? You got your intake over here and your outgoing over here, and we got a $20.5 million outgoing thrown at us last year. It's
Yeah.
without another different revenue stream coming in. So this is definitely something that I believe it's going to be good. Maybe if it's a good show, it's going to be up there. We ought to try to go up there and catch one. I don't know who's going to be there and who's playing, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. Because you got a stadium sitting there, that we're going to try to do some renovations to it. It's an older building. We know it's an older building. We're going to try to get it more modernized and this, that, and other. And this is all part of it.
Yeah.
And so, but you got this building you're putting all that kind of money into and everything sitting there, and it sits pretty much dormant for 8 months out of the year.
Yeah.
So that's what
Well,
they're
they got
talking
the
about.
big concert coming up in June, don't they? Is it June?
Yeah, right
Jelly
there.
Roll?
Which would have been Jelly Roll with Post Malone or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, if we were to host a super regional, it'd probably be around that weekend if we could get to that in baseball. But like you said, that would be a huge, huge weekend for the
Man.
Oxford and the school. But
Sure would.
was it last year or the year before when Morgan Wallen came and done a concert in the vault? So I mean, they've used it like that before.
Yeah.
But they're talking about actually putting some stuff in and around the stadium to make it more enjoyable to do that too. So I don't know what all that would be, but anyway, good listen. I recommend going and listening to that deal. And me and you joke a lot about Chase and Neil and this, that, and other. Either Chase is just really good at coming off the cuff with these questions, or they had them prepared because he asked the right question. He asked pointed questions. He was good at it. I don't know if me and you could shoot from the hip and ask those type of questions,
Yeah.
So evidently, I know they had to have thought it up. This is what we're going to talk about. Let's script it. Well, worth the listen, man, on Spotify. Well, that's pretty much all I got for this week.
Yeah. We about covered it all. Maybe next week when we record, we've got a nice series win to talk about.
I'd like to get that. Every week I keep thinking we got to hope to get a big win over the Louisville Kings.
Yeah. That'll be our first breakdown of the Stallions.
Yep. So, well, every week we think there's not going to be any football news to talk about, but
Always
there's a
seems
whole
to be.
bunch. There's always a bunch of stuff that comes up. So, but anyway, that pretty much wraps us up here for episode 29. If you like what we're putting out there, folks, please subscribe, like, and share. As always, comment and let us know what you think we can do better. For the Metal Reb and myself, until next time, hotty toddy, Rebel fans.
Go to hell, LSU. If there's a worse place, please go there.